I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. From the writer of The Alphabet Killer and the company that brought you The Attic and Shattered comes the new terrifying horror film, #Screamers.
Homepage?
Homepage, guys.
Yeah.
Homepage, Chris. We need homepage from you.
In a state of shock.
Chris, what do you hope is the future of the company?
We are people's first connection when they turn on their computer. That is the ultimate goal.
I want to make Giggler into $1 billion company, and we're going to do it. Watch us on the cover of Time magazine. All right, we have a huge video, okay? And we all know this. If we don't capitalize on that video, we're nowhere, okay? So here's what I want to do.
Abby, check out this video, see what you can find, okay? Griffin,
Find out who's making these things.
We are supposed to not be able to track you, but the truth is, we can track you.
This is Tom Brennan from Giggler.com. Were you the person responsible for making the videos that were submitted to us?
How did you get this number?
Oh, she hung up.
In this first screamer that we got, I realized this grave belongs to a Francis Tumulty.
Okay, who is?
Is one of the prime suspects of Jack the Ripper.
No way. I'm looking at the original Screamer video. I'm scrubbing this.
Same girl. It says she's been missing for years.
I mean, there are dozens of news articles about the disappearance of this girl.
This is a prank.
This is for real.
You know, it must be a real girl that's kidnapped by Jack the Ripper. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my God! Okay, we take this camera, we go up and we confront them. We have an address. Let's go knock on the goddamn door.
Tom, I don't think this is a good idea. Just.
No, man, this is good video.
Tom, it's okay. Come on, guys. What the hell was that?
Tara?
Oh, what the?
Available now on iTunes and VOD everywhere. Hi everybody, this is Steve Owens from Fascination Street Podcast. I really appreciate your listening to the show. I'm having a lot of fun getting to talk to some really fascinating people, and I want to continue doing this, but I need your help. I need you to subscribe and tell people about the show. But the biggest thing you can do to help me is to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen through. As a special thank you, anyone who rates and or reviews the show, send me a screenshot as proof and I will mail you a set of 3 pair of silk cufflinks courtesy of my friends at Menlo House. You can send it via Twitter to @FascinationSTPD, via Instagram to FascinationStreetPod, or email me at FascinationStreetPod@gmail.com. I really appreciate all of you for listening and for helping. Thank you so much. Now let's get to this week's guest. Welcome back, guys. This week's guest is Tom Malloy. Tom Malloy is a writer, actor, producer, and he's the guy who finds the money so that other people can make movies too. In this episode, we talk about financing film and TV projects, his book Bankroll, How to Finance a Movie, his buddy comedy cop series Midtown, available on Amazon. We also talk about his upcoming graphic novel Badass Girls, and his website that has videos about how to find investors. Here you go, guys. This is Tom Malloy. Thank you, Tom Malloy, for calling me. I appreciate it. Welcome to Fascination Street. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, great. I'm happy to be here and to live my dreams. So, yeah, everything's great.
Mr. Malloy, you have a very, very fascinating story because you're an actor and also a director and a producer, but you sort of came in kind of through a different door, would you say?
Well, yeah, somewhat. You know, actually, funny enough, I've never directed, though that is on my radar just because it's something I haven't done. You know, I've been doing this almost 20 years now, and it's something I never really had an interest in, but just recently I thought, well, let me try that just because it's just something different. But yeah, I mean, I started as an actor and came in that way, like the traditional way, and then when I felt like I wasn't getting the roles, I had early success with a movie that Oliver Stone had produced that we shot on the street, and it was the second biggest role, and and so that was exciting, but then I was losing out roles to bigger established stars. So I said, well, I'm going to create my own project. And I just got real good at raising money. I wrote the book Bankroll eventually about, raising money, but that's kind of condensing the story a lot. But, so now I produced, so I kind of was one of the early people kind of forging that triple hyphenate of actor, writer, producer, put projects together. It's the easy way to say it, I guess.
Well, I think it's really, really interesting. So let's start from the beginning. Where are you from, Tom?
I'm from New Jersey originally, Gardeny part of New Jersey. Yeah, like Hunterdon County, like middle of the Jersey, Gardeny, farm country. So definitely not the Jersey Shore type place.
More the Jersey cows?
Yeah, exactly. The Jersey cows, exactly. 100%.
Cool. I've only been to Jersey a couple of times, and I've been to Red Bank and Rahway and stuff like that. I like New Jersey.
Well, funny enough, I was born in Red Bank. But I was only there for maybe the first 2 years of my life. So I've been there since then, but I don't really remember it when I was a kid. But yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man.
So you're born, I guess you grew up in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide that you wanted to get into the movie business in any position?
Early on. I mean, you're talking when I could really formulate thoughts. So 6 years old, maybe less. I remember in fourth grade, I was the lead in the, in Peter Pan. Peter Pan went to a girl, and I was Captain Hook. So, I mean, I was just, since then, I wanted to be in all those, anything to do with stage and film, was the ultimate goal. But funny enough, in my high school, like, I was the big male star, and the big female star was Vera Farmiga, who's gone on and, she's been nominated for an Oscar, and she's actually star of Bates Motel now. But we went to high school together. She was 2 years older than me, but we were like the stars of all the shows together. And, so even since then, it had always been my goal.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
So let's talk about Gravesend. Is that the first movie you were talking about?
That was it, yeah. I mean, we shot it on the streets of Brooklyn. We used to go up to a street corner, and there'd be a gang of tough guys standing there, and we'd be like, you guys want to shoot a fight scene? And they'd be like, yeah, and a big fight would break out. And I was concerned for my life, but we eventually got something that was like really edgy and kind of a Cassavetes way, and it just worked.
You wrote the screenplay for that, right?
No, not at all. It was a guy named Sal Stabile who went on to write, one of the best episodes of Sopranos, and now I think the last show he EP'd was Revenge, but he's had a long career. But he wrote the screenplay, but we really improvised the movie. I mean, it was one of these where he wrote kind of more of an outline, and all the dialogue was improvised. Gotcha. My apologies on that. When did you decide that you needed to start raising your own money? So after that movie, Gravesend, were you expecting something and it didn't happen, like a pop or your name or something? Exactly. I thought the offers would come, scripts in the mailbox, so to speak. And, I was going out for roles, and it was like, against established stars. Ryan Felipe, I remember losing out to a couple times. Scott Wolf was another one. But, it's looking at it from a producerial perspective now, I realize why that was happening, because they were sellable names. And so I just said, okay, I don't want to work as a waiter or bartender or something like that. I just wanted to see if I could make my own opportunities and kind of take the bull by the horns. And so I just started, with the time, I had been married for about a year or so. Suddenly my wife at the time said she was pregnant. And so now I'm like, I got a kid on the way, and, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm auditioning in New York. And so I just said, okay, I got to make something happen. I just went out and figured out how to put it together, and didn't really know what I was doing. But, it's like, I look back, and that was just, the gun was to my head, and I just figured it out on my own. And so ever since then, I've been kind of refining my techniques and categorizing them. So now I know what I'm doing. But back then it was just blind ignorance that got me the money.
I feel like your approach was pretty methodical and pointed. When you were going through this approach, when you were kind of nailing down the things that worked and didn't work, did you have a book in mind?
No, not at all. It's like the book came after the fact, because when I was trying to figure it out, I was reading all these books and looking online and things like that, and nobody could tell me what to do. So then I figured it out on my own, and then repeated it a couple times. And so I didn't write the book until after, I think, the third or fourth film that I had raised financing for. And at that point, I just, I felt like, all right, I had all this information that people didn't know. And, I was getting meetings with people, and they were, turning to me and going, how do you raise money? And these were people that had huge credits, but they had no idea how to do it. It was always handed to them, or, the studio was paying for it. And so I said, well, let me just put this into a book. And that's how it came to be.
Well, I have heard and read a few other people talk about, that there's 3 or so different versions of a budget, like your basic budget, your ideal budget, and maybe your dream budget. How do you feel about that 3 budget approach?
I don't subscribe to it. If people have had success with it, that's great. I don't, because it's kind of like, if somebody was to tell you, here, I'll say, because they're selling the same thing, really. They're selling one thing, and they're going to say, I'll build an addition onto your house, and it's going to be, $1 million, it's going to be $3 million, it's going to be $5 million. It's like, well, shit, if you could do an addition for $1 million, just do the addition in my house for that amount. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the way I look at it. That's one of the reasons, is that the investor will kind of always pick the lowest, and the second reason is it should always be focused. It's like the way, if you're presenting 3 budgets, you're not focused. You're not telling them, this is exactly what I want to do, and this is the number that I'm going for. You're saying, well, it might be this, it might be that, it might be the other thing. It's like, I'm a huge believer in, you've got to be incredibly clear in what you want, and that's how you get it.
Gotcha. In total, if you had to guess, how much money do you think you've raised for both film and TV projects?
I calculated some years back that it was over $25 million, because things were not also, for my projects, they were also putting people together and taking finder's fees and projects like that. And I had some foreign financing, so it was north of $25 million of private equity for different projects.
Just a couple more questions about the book, which is called Bankroll,
Sure.
and I'm assuming it's available on Amazon?
It is. The first edition came out in 2008, I believe, and then they asked me to write a second edition, and that came out in 2012. And then they asked me to write a third edition, and I just didn't feel that I wanted to. I think I was too busy at the time. So the book is out of print. You could go get them on Amazon, other people's copies, I believe. Some of them are insanely priced, $200 and up. But what I did is I took about 4 months project and created BankrollYourMovie.com, which is a video series. It's like over 5 hours of video on film finance, literally from start to scratch, the idea that you have in your head all the way to getting it sold. Videos cover every single aspect of that. So that's a Bankroll Your Movie. So it's the same Bankroll brand. And Jason Brubaker and I, who I do a lot of stuff with, we're going to bring back the book itself online, but as of now, the book itself is out of print.
So those videos are available at
BankrollYourMovie.com. Yeah, BankrollYourMovie.com. Yeah.
And guys, I'll put that link in the show notes. So just scroll down to the bottom, and that link will be there. And go check out those videos. I know I'm going to.
Oh, great, man.
So you have written screenplays, right?
I have, yeah, almost about 30 or so.
When did you figure out that you could do that? Like, I say it often on this show that I can't string 2 sentences together coherently. And so I'm always impressed when, people can just pump out content. So what made you think that you could write a screenplay?
Well, I always felt that I had a certain knack for stories. Still do. I mean, like, somebody tells me their name and it's gone from my head a minute later. But somebody tells me a story, and I'll remember it, 10 years later, I'll run into that person, at a bar, and I'll recount verbatim that story to them. So I remember stories very well, and I have a knack for stories. But what I did that I suggest to every writer that many of them don't do, and this is why there's so many shitty screenplays out there, is that I read maybe 30 of the best screenplays of all time before I even started. I mean, I read, from Dr. Strangelove to Network to Casablanca. I mean, I've read the best screenplays, and even more newer ones that had good action sequences in them. So, so I knew, and I'll still do that. Like, meaning if you said to me, you want to write, you commission me to write an action script, I would go back and, read Black Panther or read, the latest Avengers just to see how it's formatted and stuff like that. So that set my bar really high for, knowing what good writing looked like, I guess. And then it took me about, maybe 4 screenplays where I started to, I think it was the first one that I optioned. But I've optioned, sold, or made the movies like over 20 of those screenplays like that. And I'm in the Writers Guild, and now it becomes a science. You start to pick up tricks and techniques along the way.
So what made you decide to read those big movie screenplays? I mean, you could have just as easily read a couple of screenplays from, the 1993 Roseanne. So what made you decide to go that route?
Well, I hadn't really written any TV, so I wanted to write movies, and so that was the key for me. That was the first thing. But the second thing was I felt like I guess it was reading bad screenplays and these people that just had ideas. It's like, oh, I have a really cool idea. And it's like I kind of equate that with seeing Open Heart Surgery and saying, oh, I could do that. I just watched an Open Heart Surgery. So like they're watching movies and thinking they can write them. And so they're not reading the screenplays and seeing how the screenplays, laid out. And so that was such a key for me, is to go, okay, I need to know what something looks like when it's great. And that doesn't mean a good idea that I have for a movie. It means reading a screenplay and seeing, okay, these are the ones that win Best Picture and Best Screenplay at the Oscars, and saying, okay, how is that written? How is the dialogue written? How is that laid out? And that would just help me.
Well, that makes sense, and I'm pretty sure that makes you a genius. Because you didn't, it never occurred to you to do it any other way, and you stumbled on, I guess, pretty much one of the most badass ways to do it. So, well done, sir.
Thanks, brother. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I would be expecting your Mensa card sometime soon.
It's like I would love to think of myself more of a Columbo type character than a genius. Meaning he was a genius if you're a fan of the show, but it was primarily based on his hard work ethic. My persistence and my never giving up and my always wanting to work. Like the only time I get stressed out is when I'm bored. So I think that's what maybe contributes more to success for me.
Gotcha. Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Montclair University in Jersey, right outside of New York City.
Oh, cool. And what did you major in?
Funny enough, when I first got there, I was a theater major, but then I wasn't a fan, and then I ended up being a film and communications major with also a minor in computer science. So it's kind of a unique combination.
Wow, that certainly is unique.
Yeah. It was a different crowd in each class.
Yeah,
definitely different crowd.
It sounds like you wrote down all of the possible majors on a deck of cards and just threw it up in the air, and whichever 2 or 3 landed right side up, you picked those.
That's very funny, yes. Yeah, no, it's the key is I've always been a kind of computer junkie my whole life and had a kind of, again, a knack for just computers, and I love working with them, so that was a natural thing for me to just take programming classes and stuff like that. But at the same time, I wanted to explore the film program there, which was just starting there. And then the communications was just because, I figured it was stuff that I would need for the rest of my life.
Well, I think that you chose well.
Thanks for that.
When did you decide to get into improv and stand-up comedy?
Well, I'd always been kind of, I was the class clown in my high school, and I'd always been known as kind of sharp and funny. And stand-up comedy I had done around, it was like the late 90s to early 2000s. I was out there, at Caroline's Comedy Club and doing Catch Rising Star in New Jersey and performing. And, I didn't like it. I got to be honest, I liked it, but I wasn't a big fan of the fact watching these comics night after night just refine their routines. And I wasn't that. I was trying to do something new each night. And so these guys, I could still go back and many of them would be using, the same jokes that worked for them and just refine finding the routines, and nothing against that, but that's not what I wanted. And so when I finally got into the IO West, which just, after all this time just closed its doors, but, I knew the people that had gone through there, the Chris Farleys and the Tina Feys and all the Amy Poehler, all these people. And so I just kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps and just, I love the kind of jumping in the pool, free form of you don't know what's going to happen. Just jumping on that stage and making up comedy on the spot, I thought was really, really inspiring.
Well, that makes 100% sense why you leaned more toward improv then.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, I was watching Midtown on Amazon. Will you tell me about how that came about and how you and Scott Baker got connected?
Yeah, so Scott was a friend that I had met years back. I think we were both extras on a film. I can't remember which film. Oh, Anger Management with Adam Sandler. And we were younger in our career, and I played the right fielder for the New York Yankees in the movie, and he was there, and we just hit it off. We had a good banter between us. And he was a former NYPD cop turned improv comedian. And, the long story was that we basically had created a pilot that we feel Fox ripped us off, and it's become Brooklyn 99. Because we had a pilot before them, and we had the director of the Seinfeld pilot do this pilot. And after that happened, and we thought about pursuing a lawsuit, we just said, you know what? Why don't we just make our own thing? And we, with literally no money, just got in the cop uniforms and put us in a car, and we'd make up a topic, coffee, go. And, we would just do 6 minutes on coffee, improvising. And it was hysterical. I put up 3 videos, and I think we got 400,000 hits over the 3 videos. And so then we said, maybe we have something here. So, we put it up on Amazon. And at one point, we were getting 70,000 views a month on Amazon. And like I said, half the people would think to it and look at it and say, this is hysterical, funniest thing ever. The other half would say, oh, this was shot on what, a crap camera, So there was we never had any budget with it. But the bottom line is, we are looking to develop, we did a season 2 and we actually had budget. And so that one was reviewed very well. And so now we're looking at a season 3 and actually doing it with right people, with talented people, and, people around me and Scott. And yeah, and we have other projects in development. Him and I, he's become kind of my comedy partner, and we just work very well together.
Yes, you do. I didn't watch both seasons, but the episodes I did watch, I will wholeheartedly agree. You guys work well together.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, we have a good banter, and it's all made up in the spot, which is really fun.
I love that there's no laugh track because I get to decide when to laugh, and
yeah.
I also love the subtle humor that wouldn't have a laugh track anyway. Some of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we always said that there's times where we'll make each other laugh in the show, and we just go with it. He'll say something, and I'll just start laughing, and we'll just kind of go with that in the show, and it's that's fun, and it gives us, I guess, a likability factor, that people like that because we're not playing too much to the camera. We're just having a good time.
Do you guys own that show, or does Amazon now own it?
No, we own it because we are just signed a deal with a company called Comedy Dynamics, and we have some multiple projects with them, but they are they're going to be taking it and putting it on a bunch of other VOD platforms and pushing it out there. And so hopefully we're thinking with the pop we'll get from that, then we'll go with season 3 and make it bigger and better.
Nice. Tell me about maybe some of your other roles. Tell me about Hero of the Underworld.
Well, yeah, that was a fun one. That was a small film, but I played the lead role in that one, and it was based on my time spent years and years ago in 2000 as the overnight manager of the Paramount Hotel in New York City, and that one, I won a bunch of, I think it was 3 or 4 Best Actor awards for it at different film festivals, so that was great. But it was a small film. But then I had another film that I did called Screamers. That was a scary movie that I co-wrote with Dean Ronalds, who ended up directing the film, and that was in theaters this year. And it was a scary movie, a found footage horror movie, and it twice was reviewed as the best found footage movie these critics had ever seen, the 2 that said that. And so the reviews were through the roof. We then came out to VOD. We were number 1 on iTunes horror for a 2-week period there, so that was really cool. So yeah, that movie's called #Screamers. And I got another film that I just completed called Trauma Therapy, which is I play this kind of evil Tony Robbins type character, and that was really fun. You know, with Brian Krause from Charmed, and it was that was a great film. And so yeah, man, things were just rocking and rolling.
Now you said that Hero of the Underworld was a small film. What do you mean small film?
Small meaning it was contained. I mean, it was done for like under $100,000. Let's put it that way. And you know, we had you know, Quentin Aaron from The Blind Side, and you know, Chris Ashworth from The Wire. We had some great cast. It was not, you know, definitely wasn't a big budget indie at all or anything like that.
Gotcha. What was it like to work with Ray Wise?
Oh yes, that's right. I worked with Ray on the movie called Shattered. He played my dad. He was great. I mean, you know, just great. I mean, but the key with these guys, and I don't think Ray's a great person and a great actor. I love bringing my A game to a set. You know, it's like I always feel like I could never be doing these projects and creating my opportunities and then not bringing, you know, a powerhouse performance. And so with Ray, I just want to, you know, as another actor, I just want to show that I can nail it. And he believed that, you know, and I did nail it. So I like showing these people that my game is just as good, if not better than theirs, and like, you know, and just kind of jumping up to the task, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. So.
Well, it certainly seems that you've had lots of opportunities to do that. You've worked with some really amazing and studied people.
Yeah, you know, I think my favorite would have to be Betty White. I got to dance with Betty White and work with her. I had a scene with her in my movie Love and Dancing, so that was just great. And so, but yeah, everybody that I'm always thankful for going to, you know, working with people that I've idolized and looked up to. So yeah.
Now, when you danced with Betty White, was this the reason that you trained with Robert Royston?
Well, you know, not exactly. It was the key with that was I had discovered this dance called West Coast Swing way back. I think it was, you know, you're talking back in like, it would be even late 90s, and I just kind of fell in love with this dance. And so I always had wanted to do a film based on West Coast Swing. So Robert was, you know, the best in the field. I mean, he's like a 12-time or 13-time U.S. Open champion. And I just went to him, and so I even before I had thought of the idea of a movie, I was training with him from a dance perspective just because I really liked West Coast Swing. So, yeah. So, I mean, like, it just evolved into that when I went around and said, okay, I'm finally ready now to do my own film on dancing. He was the natural choice.
Nice. How was Betty?
Oh, she was great. You know, she came in and we had her scene, and she was just super professional and super fun. She was like, everybody wanted her to be their grandmother. And we even did a special thing. We took her to the zoo in New Mexico because she, I think, she was big on the zoos, and there was an ape that she knew in the one zoo in California, and the sister ape was in this zoo, and so yeah, we gave her a zoo tour the next day. So she was just fantastic.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people who have worked with Betty White, and I got to tell you, I'm getting really sick and tired of hearing that she was sweet and awesome and the greatest thing ever. I just want to hear one. I just want to hear one good story about, you know, her chucking a cell phone at somebody's head.
Yeah, that would be great. There was a really, really funny sketch that Ryan Reynolds did with her, where she treats him like shit in the movie that he does with Sandra Bullock and her, and he just goes off on her, and then she pretends like, you know, she's all hurt by it. And it's just a great sketch if you haven't seen it. Just say, you know, Ryan Reynolds fights with Betty White. It's just fantastic.
Nice. I think you wrote The Alphabet Killer?
No, yeah, I did. I wrote The Alphabet Killer, yep.
Now, you write a lot of horror movies with #Screamers and The Attic and Alphabet Killer. Why that genre?
It's just my favorite as far as a personal preference to watch. You know, I love films. I watch, you know, from all genres, and I love the Oscars and all that. But if you had to say to me, you know, what do you want to just watch for fun? It's scary movies. I just love them. And so with all these films that I've done, and so I've been in maybe 3 or 4 where I just was an actor in them. I just love the concept of scaring people, because they're like movies that are like roller coasters. You know, you get on them and you have thrills, and they're like thrill rides that are movies. So they're my personal favorite. So that's really what I like about them.
And I like the unspoken agreement between the filmmakers and the audience. You know, I'm going to pay X amount of dollars to go into this theater with the sole intention of being scared shitless.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's fun. It's like if you look at them as like fun, and that's what's great about it. It's almost like, you know, funny enough, I love roller coasters too, but like when I'm on the line of roller coaster, I remember somebody saying to me, "Oh, they don't scare me," you know, and it's like, well, then why would you go on? You know, like I go on roller coasters because they scare me, you know, and anybody that says, "Oh, horror movies don't scare me," it's like, well, then don't go, you know, because that's the best part. When I'm watching a horror movie, I'm going, "Oh, come on, get me." Like I'm literally saying that in my head as I'm waiting for, like, you know, the girls walking down the hallway or something like that. That's what's really exciting for me.
Have you ever thought about some therapy, you sicko?
Yeah. I just love that feeling when your heart jumps. I love the jump scares. Those are my favorite.
Nice. What is in the future? I mean, you have movies that are out now and coming out soon, and you're writing everything all the time and producing everything and getting everybody money. When are you going to slow down a little bit and enjoy your wife and kid?
Well, funny enough, I'm not married anymore, but I love my kids, and we're together all the time, and we have a great time together. So it's like my life is always split seemingly between my career and my kids, and you know, and not in that order. You know, it's like we're always together, always have a great time. But as far as slowing down, it's just not going to happen. I mean, I've always had this kind of life energy, you know, and like I said, the only time I get stressed is when I'm bored. So as of now, maybe I don't have the energy that I used to. Like I'm almost like that pitcher that used to throw the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but now he needs like Vaseline and, you know, and mineral ice and all that stuff to try to get those, you know, filing the ball to try to get the ball to go fast. But I still have a lot of it, and so, you know, I'm still out there doing stuff. I had just posted on Facebook that I wanted to finally direct a movie, and I want to direct a comedy. I have the script. So now I just got to find the financing, and it's not much. You know, you're talking about $250,000 or so, and I think we'll make a great comedy. So we'll see if I can get that going.
Very cool. What do you have that's out right now that people can see?
I would say the best thing is to watch Screamers. You know, just in any VOD platform, just search for #Screamers, and that is just a really, really epic found footage horror movie that you will get your money's worth. It's scared, and it's not bad for like kids. There's nothing, you know, super bloody or curses or anything like that. So it's just a really kind of fun, classy horror movie.
Nice. And that's available on iTunes and, like you said, everywhere that has basically a VOD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's coming out to subscription VOD like Amazon Prime on July 17th, because right now it's only transactional, like, you know, Google Play and Vudu and iTunes and, you know, all the other stuff. And then the Blu-ray will be out in August. In fact, I'm going to record the commentary tomorrow for the Blu-ray. So that's, you know, it's all good things.
Very cool. When and why did you decide to become a singer?
Oh, geez. I've always just had, you know, I've been, let's put it this way. I've been one of those people that is an actor who can sing very well. So I don't believe I'm a singer. You know, it's per se. I'm just I can belt out a tune, but it was never my focus. You know, it's like the singing, the dancing. Those were all things that I could do and look great, and people, oh wow, you're fantastic. But I didn't want to categorize myself or dance or anything like that. I just wanted to do them and have fun doing it.
So let me just see if I got this right. Trained singer, trained dancer, producer, executive producer, writer, actor, money grubber. No wonder you want to direct something, because you're not doing enough stuff.
It's true. You know, it's more it's true. It's kind of like one of these things where I just want to try something new and test myself. You know, I just put out a graphic novel. It's a 4-part graphic novel that's going to be marketed later this year, and I just finished that, the first of the 4 parts, and so I thought that was different enough. And so now what haven't I done? And it's directing. So let's see what happens with that.
Let's talk about your graphic novel. What's it called?
It's called Badass Girls, and it's a female vigilante action flick. We're trying to develop into a film as well, but it's really just a fun, you know, set in L.A., you know, really just edgy, kind of Pulp Fiction-y type of, you know, action.
And you said it's coming out in August?
No, we haven't set the date yet. Still trying to finalize the deals on it because we don't know if it's, you know, we can get it. If we can get it developed into a film, that would change it. But if it's just going to be in the comic book stores, that's a different story as well. So it hasn't been finalized yet.
Gotcha. Well, there's a pretty big comic store in your birth town of Red Bank. Maybe you can put it in there.
There is.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, maybe it's true. It's true. I could reach out that way and just be like, hey, man, I was born here. Can you help me out?
Besides maybe directing this comedy that you want to raise the money for, what else is in your future? I know you're not going to slow down, but what's on deck?
Well, if you can believe it, I also co-own a sales and distribution company called Glass House Distribution. And so we sell films, and they're not movies that I produce. They're movies that I've acquired. So we sign these movies, and, you know, they're again, those worlds of me producing and acting and writing they're not mixed with this world. So we just got back from Cannes, and then we have, you know, a little bit of a hiatus until AFM. We're still closing some deals from Cannes, but then we have the hiatus until American Film Market in November. So we'll be there selling movies there as well. But, you know, it's just continually trying to get new projects and make more movies and make them bigger, you know, looking for that home run. It's because I haven't had the home run yet. I've had moderate successes, and, you know, spreading myself out has been successful for me personally, but I want that home run where, you know, this is the movie that people go, wow, you know, it's the star maker, or it's the one that everybody talks about.
Why did you name your company Glass Houses?
All right, so there's two companies. One is my production company is called Trick Candle Productions, and that's kind of just the thing there is that birthday candle where you try to blow out the flame and it just keeps coming back, and that's kind of just an analogy for me and my life, you know, the persistence of you can't blow out that flame inside me. So that's why it's called Trick Candle Productions. But Glass House Distribution, the distribution company, is pretty cool because that's the guy that's the finance steer behind it. My partner in the company, his name is Brian Glass. But that's not the end of the story. The other part of it is that we pride ourselves on the transparency. Like, you can see everything that's going on inside. And, you know, because distribution for many has been, that's where they rip you off. And so we said we want to make something where you can see everything going on and know that, you know, we're not taking advantage of you. And that's where Glass House came from.
Do you think that Glass House will maybe see a surge now that, for all practical purposes, the Weinstein Company is not really going to be around anymore?
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw, even at Cannes, we saw that there was a hole that needed to be, you know, kind of filled with all this void. You know, it's like there was some companies that were just shaken up, and so there's buyers looking for content and projects and things like that. So, and there's all these different networks now, and so I think that there's more opportunity, and you know, we'll see if we can capitalize on it.
Now, through the course of your career, you've been in front of the camera, behind the camera, over on the side of the camera, under the camera. Did you notice or see a prevalence of everything that is basically in the news now with regard to your industry?
Yeah, you know, I think that, yes. I mean, I think that it had been around for a while. Film sets were very flirty. I didn't see personally, you know, like the fact, you know, people taking it super far. You know, I saw a lot of people flirting, but I got to be honest, there, you know, it's like years ago when I was a kid, you know, late 20s, I worked in office supplies, and I got even there, you know, there was guys taking advantage of the power. So I think the film industry has gotten a spotlight on it because, you know, we're, you know, People Magazine and stuff like that. But, you know, you can go to any real estate office in this country and find the same abuse of power by men towards women, and maybe even more so because they know they're not going to have a spotlight on them. So, you know, there's Harvey Weinsteins in Wall Street and in real estate and in office supplies all across the country. So I think it's a nationwide problem. It's just that, you know, as usual, the film business has been where people have focused to point the fingers at. So, you know, I think it's a problem, and I think it's good that people are being exposed, but I would say it's not primarily the movie business.
Well, I will agree with you. I spent a lot of years in restaurants and a few years in banking.
Oh, God.
And it's everywhere. Yeah. And I think that the reason that the
yeah,
spotlights are pointed on your industry is because you guys have all the spotlights.
Yep. Yeah, there it is. That's it. Yep. 100%.
So do you travel at all, Tom?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot. Yeah, last year I was in South Korea. I was in, these are for film festivals. I was in Italy and I was in France. This year so far I've only been to France and Was I in Canada? No, Canada was at the end of last year as well. But I also go back and forth between New York and Los Angeles. I think I did 15 times last year. So I'm one of these people that's always in a plane.
Now, do you have a place in LA since you're there so much?
I do. I go back and forth. You know, I because of my kids, I moved my primary residence to New York, but Los Angeles is really where my heart is, and it's more of my favorite overall spot. But yeah, I go back and forth, little places, you know, and then I have the house in New York. So.
Gotcha. Do you have a website?
I do. It's TomMalloy.com, TomMalloy.com. And then also there's TomMalloy Comedy, which is just comedy clips of me, TomMalloyComedy.com. And, you know, all those other companies that I mentioned also have their own websites, but those are the main two for me.
Gotcha. Now, before I let you go, thank you again for your time, but before I let you go, is there anything that maybe I didn't bring up or ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Gee, it was pretty thorough. I mean, I can't think of anything else. I mean, like I said, the thing I'm most excited about now is kind of making my decision that I want to direct this project. I'm in it as well, but there's great roles for a ton of people. It's a dating comedy. And so, you know, I'm just out there kind of focusing now on seeing if I can get it financed. And once I can do that, we're making a movie.
So with all of the financing that you've done over the past few years, is there just a whole bunch of wells that you keep going back to, or is it almost new every time?
It's half and half. There's wells that I could go back to, people that want to work with me and work with me again. And at the same time, there's aspects of it that are, you know, each time let's find somebody new, you know. So in this case, I think this one, I want a whole new set team and a different type of, you know, funny enough, I just put out a product with Jason Brubaker about how to find investors. And it's a video series specifically on how to find investors. She just released it today. And I just say, you know, each time you got to look and say, who is the perfect person to finance this movie, and start from that point and go back from there. Or who are the perfect people that would finance this movie, and then just start looking for them.
What is that series called, and where can somebody find it?
The series is called How to Find Investors, and it's well, it's funny I probably should know that. How to find it, and I believe it's on filmmakingstuff.com. And the reason I showed pause there is because Jason is the one that puts out all this stuff for me. He does all the digital marketing. He's kind of well known in the distribution business. I just make the content. So, but if you go to filmmakingstuff.com, you'll be able to get How to Find Investors.
Gotcha. Oh, and I did want to say you were on a short-lived TV show called Kidnapped, right?
Yeah, just for one episode though, or 2 episodes I believe. And then, but yeah, it got canceled. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to interview a television writer named Duppy Demetrius, and he was a writer on that show. And that show was sort of like Gravesend with you. That show, Kidnapped, was kind of that for him. You know, he was expecting it to, you know, go on and do big things, and it kind of just didn't happen. But I thought it was really cool that, you know, I interviewed the guy who wrote on that show, and now I got to interview the guy who was on that show.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, you know, that's great. I look at somebody like that, and sometimes you just have to be thankful that you had the opportunity and know that there's another opportunity along the way if you don't give up, you know, and you can't look at it as crushing that it didn't make your career. You just got to know, well, there's something else is going to come that's going to be even better. You know, a lot of times I think of somebody like Bruce Lee, who was so passionate about this TV show Kung Fu and thought it was going to make him a star. And then, you know, it didn't happen. He was sad, but he didn't let it stop him. And he became the greatest, you know, the biggest Asian star in history, maybe up until Jackie Chan. But at the end of the day, Kung Fu went to David Carradine. You know, then Bruce Lee became a legend, and because he didn't give up.
Well, and neither did this guy. He went on to, write for 24 and The Closer and Major Crimes. So he landed on his feet.
Yeah, good for him. Awesome.
Well, TomMalloy, I want to thank you so much. Will you tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
Great, yeah. The best one is Tommy Malloy on Twitter. Somebody had taken TomMalloy apparently, but Tommy Malloy on Twitter. And I believe if you go to TomMalloy.com, you can link to my Facebook and Instagram stuff. Instagram's just TomMalloy. So, yeah.
Cool. And once again, I will put your social media tags in the show notes along with your websites. Tom, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was great talking to you, and had a lot of fun, and thanks for the interview.
Absolutely. And if you ever find your way down here to San Antonio or, heck, even Austin, give me a call, man. I'll buy you a drink.
Sounds great. You're speaking my language. That sounds great. Awesome.
Have a good day, Tom.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
What's up, guys? I'm back with this month's Menlo Club promo code. Menlo Club, as you know, is a subscription-based clothing service for men that I've been using for over 2.5 years. Every month, for $60, tax and shipping included, they send you a surprise package. In that package is everything from jeans to t-shirts to short sleeve button-ups, long sleeve button-ups, shorts, socks, belts, swimsuits even workout gear. Did I mention shoes? Every month they pick a couple of those different things and they send them to you, all for $60. But when you sign up, if you use promo code FSP, as in Fascination Street Podcast, you'll get 50% off your first month plus free socks and a free pair of sunglasses for the month of July. How cool is that? Just for putting FSP. Just because you're a listener. So go to menlohouse.com and sign up. Use promo code FSP and you'll be happy you did. Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.